Guys, what's up? My name's Swords, and I'm going to tell you how to control your weapon recoil with every single gun in Season 8 of Apex Legends. Some of you might not know what recoil is and why it's important, but recoil is the natural jump your weapon makes when you're firing. This is usually why you miss shots at farther ranges. You need to know how to control your weapon recoil with at least your favorite weapons if you want to maximize your weapon accuracy. The reason why I'm able to beam a majority of my targets is because I know how to control weapon recoil with each weapon. You see, the recoil for every gun is just a little bit different, so you need to know the exact recoil pattern per weapon to control that recoil. So I'm going to show you each of the recoil patterns for all the weapons and talk to you about what you could do to fight the recoil. This should help you beam down your enemies much easier. But first, please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content and want to be a part of a supportive and positive space. Each of you watching are some really awesome peeps, and it's helping the community in Apex a lot. So seriously, join me and check out my Discord to see plenty of talent and meet other cool players in there. First up, let's talk about the RE45. The RE45 has a very predictable recoil pattern. It goes upwards and to the right. To fight this, fight the recoil downwards and to the left. The P2020 has a very predictable recoil pattern as well. It practically doesn't move. Just fire straight and you'll probably be on target. The R301 also has a predictable pattern. The recoil naturally goes upwards and it kind of stabilizes. What you want to do is you want to fight the recoil downwards, and then towards the end of your mag, stop fighting the recoil and just let it shoot out. The R99 also has a random but also predictable recoil pattern. It's pretty much straight up, but there's a little bit of horizontal randomness in between. It's sometimes even a little difficult to control without any extra attachments. Even firing at this target, I wasn't able to finish it without any extra attachments. I had to get up closer into its optimal range to finish it off. The Alternator has an even more predictable pattern than the R99. It's pretty much just goes straight up. It's also easier to control. Just fight the recoil down and let it stabilize. Shooting this target was very easy with the Alternator compared to the R99. The G7 Scout also has a pretty easy recoil pattern to get. It just goes upwards and to the left. You just want to adjust each shot in order to fight that recoil. Just fight the recoil downwards and a little bit to the right after each shot, you know? You're able to adjust it swimmingly with this weapon. It's not too hard to shoot your target within its optimal range. The G7 Scout shoots pretty well from close to medium range. It's a very accurate assault rifle weapon. The 30-30 repeater, the newest weapon in Season 8. Its recoil pattern is similar to the G7 Scout, going upwards, a little bit of horizontal recoil, a little bit to the leftward, but it's mostly pretty accurate. Just readjust after each shot and you're going to make your shots count. You're going to hit them targets from whatever range they are. You're probably going to want to put like a purple sight on this, or maybe a 2x. The Wingman is also an easy weapon to hit shots with, and it's very predictable. At farther ranges, it can be difficult to hit targets with the Wingman because you have to account for bullet drop. The Spitfire has a lot of horizontal recoil with this weapon. The best way to fight the recoil for this kind of weapon is what you want to do is you want to account for that horizontal recoil. Essentially just fight it. Try to fight that horizontal recoil to guide it back to the center of your target, and that's going to be key to getting those targets at medium range with this weapon. So remember to fight it downwards and adjust the horizontal recoil on center. The Hemlock has a pretty easy pattern to get down with. Even with an extended magazine, the gun naturally stabilizes towards the end of its rounds. You're going to want to fight the recoil by aiming downwards and to the right. The Flatline has a weird recoil pattern. I would highly suggest practicing the recoil pattern for this gun over and over because it is a really weird one. It goes a little bit more to the left, but it also really janks back to the right towards the end of its round. So what you want to do is you want to fight the recoil down to the right, and then towards the end of the mag, guide it back on center to the left. Each of the snipers is very accurate and on target. You're going to see here that my charge rifle shots are pretty much on par with my sentinel shots. There's practically no recoil between these two snipers. When it comes to sniping, what you really need to account for is how far away your target is and which direction they're heading in. You need to account for these things as a sniper. Recoil won't be too much of a problem for you. Even with the longbow and triple take, I was experiencing the same things. Each of my shots was pretty much on target. Triple take's an interesting one. The more precise you are, you still get the same amount of damage. It's all about landing each of those shots on your target. The Volt SMG has a pretty easy recoil pattern, going straight up and stabilizing towards the end of its mag. Just fight the recoil down, and towards the end of the mag, stop fighting that recoil, and it'll shoot out and balance on your target. The Devotion has a wild, very crazy recoil pattern, but it is very strong. The Devotion's recoil pattern kind of goes upwards to the left, and then it janks over to the right, a little over halfway past the mag. You want to fight it by fighting the recoil down and to the right. And when it jinks over to the right, you want to bring it back over to the left. The Havoc has a pretty easy recoil pattern again, but the problem is there's a little bit of horizontal recoil in between. The Havoc recoil goes up and upwards and to the left, but what you want to do is you want to fight the recoil down and to the right for the most part. Try to account for that horizontal recoil in between, but it's alright if you're having trouble. The All-Stars recoil pattern is probably one of the easiest ones in the game. Its recoil pattern is mostly at the beginning of its shots. All you have to do is just aim to the right a little, and then fight the recoil down. The Peacekeeper has a star pattern recoil. Its recoil doesn't move too much. You just want to account for where your target's position is in between each shot. You want to make sure your target is at the center so that that star pattern fully sticks, else you're going to miss. The Prowler has an easy recoil pattern. I would suggest just aiming straight down for it for the most part. You don't really have to account for that horizontal recoil. The Craver is accurate just like the other snipers. Where it's really random is its hip fire recoil. If you're going for them trick shots, just account for that. But otherwise, it's a very accurate weapon. The Mozambique has a triangle recoil pattern. Just account for that. Make sure your targets are at the center, and that's probably why you're missing shots. The EVA 8 has a vertical recoil pattern. You'll hit a lot of targets that are jumping around with this weapon. It's really good for catching them off guard. The Mastiff has a horizontal recoil pattern, a line if you will. A lot of the time people hit 11s with this gun. This is probably why. It's because maybe one of your bullets are hitting them at the side, but because they're not directly at the center, you're not doing full damage. Give me a follow if you're on Twitter. I'm trying to start tweeting more, posting clips, posting interesting thoughts. Just give me a follow. Also, I stream on Twitch. Yeah, literally come stop by. I stream all the time and I talk to chat all the time. Sometimes you guys ask me for tips or maybe extra info, and I share some information with y'all. So yeah, come by. We're trying to have a good time. But anyway, what are your tips for recoil pattern? How do you guys beam people down at farther ranges? Talk to me about it in the comments below. Don't forget to check out one of these videos. One of them might interest you. Without further ado, take it easy and peace out.